We are fortunate enough to have several examples of what true leadership looks like at our fingertips. If we're not careful though, sometimes we can end up viewing these examples as the only way that effective leadership should look or function. Truth be told, leadership now more than ever doesn't necessarily fit into a specific equation or pattern. It looks completely different than it did just a decade ago. As technology has become more prominent at work and in our daily lives, and as the relationships with our employees have shifted dramatically, we have been forced to adapt. Leaders and leadership styles have done the same. So instead of discussing what leadership should or has to be, on today's show, let's break through the myths and assess the potential of what it can be. There is a significant difference between leading and managing, though they are certainly interrelated. Managers typically deal with the day-to-day operations and rely heavily on systems and processes to keep things rolling and to motivate their team. On the other hand, leaders spend the bulk of their time forging emotional connections with their team, influencing and inspiring and guiding them toward a long-term personal and company-wide goals. Now, that doesn't mean that leadership and management always function completely separately either. Crossover, of course, happens all the time, requiring leaders to manage people and managers to lead as well. Leaders aren't only found in high-level executive positions. In fact, the most well-rounded companies have a culture that allows room for leaders and encourages a leadership mentality at every level of the organization. It's just that these individuals often don't have the actual leadership label. So you might have someone, for example, in accounts payable who organizes a food drive for local families each quarter. Or maybe you have a busboy or a greeter who uses his humor to rally employee morale during a tough shift. No one asked them to do these things, and while neither are leaders by title, their behavior falls in line with leadership traits. They are inspiring and connecting with others. Whether it is to take action by donating a worthwhile cause or looking long-term at the big picture past the troubles of a current shift, leaders and inspiration occurs at all levels. One of the fundamental traits of great leadership is the ability to actively listen to employees and understand the root cause of any concerns or suggestions or input. What a shame and a waste of invaluable talent it would be if only leaders' ideas ever made the cut. Leaders are aware of their own limitations and they are constantly on the lookout for new opportunities to learn. Who better to learn from than the capable team they have assembled? So while leaders don't have to come up with all of the ideas or have all the right answers, they do need to listen, they need to understand and gather input and collaboratively morph visions and ideas into reality and solutions. Their focus is on making progress through collaboration, not isolation. If you happen to be an introvert along with roughly 1/3 to 1/2 of your fellow Americans, you might think that leadership isn't for you. Perhaps the reason we equate leadership and leaders with charismatic extroversion is because our news cycles tend to focus on big name CEOs that are out there giving moving speeches and producing catchy one-liners. But there is a big difference between someone who is truly leading a company, which largely happens behind the scenes and through formulating one-on-one relationships with each and every person, versus someone who functions as a spokesperson or the face of the company. So be careful not to confuse the two, and remember that introverts who may simply require a little more time to themselves to regroup and to recharge can be capable leaders as well. Although many leaders naturally possess several of the soft skills well suited for the role, leadership isn't relegated to those with a genetic predisposition. So long as an individual has will and drive and determination to put in the work, there are several components of leadership that can be learned and honed given enough time.